Good morning. Today we're going to be reading a book, and it is so good. Do you like apples? Red apples, green apples. These are my favorite. These are called Granny Smith apples. So we're going to be reading books all this week in honor of Johnny Appleseed, who was a really terrific person. The focus, your learning target for this week is going to be learning how to remember the characters, the setting, and major events in a story using key details. It's this standard right here for first grade. But if you look up, there are lots of standards in first grade that deal with retelling stories and being able to know who the main character is and to know the setting. So this standard is really, really important. I'm going to show you a fabulous way to help you remember the characters, the setting, and the problem and solution and events in a story. And our learning target for today is I can use a graphic organizer to help me retell a story. And we're going to use this 5-finger retell graphic organizer. So just hold up your thumb. Got your thumb? Your thumb is going to help you remember the characters. Your next finger is going to help you remember the setting. This middle finger is going to help you remember the problem. And your fourth finger is going to help you remember the major events. Like what happened first, next, in the middle, and last. And you see this light bulb? This little pinky finger, that is going to be the finger that helps you remember how is the problem solved. I mean, always in a story, something happens, usually that's a problem. And then they solve that problem together. So we're going to read a great story. I think you're going to like it. It's about some first grade kids that are going on a field trip. And then we're going to make this story map together to help us retell the story. Picking apples. This is a story that takes place like at the Robin Hill School with the students there. And these are the first grade children. Now I can look at the cover of a book and tell a lot about the characters and the setting. Do you notice these trees in the background? I think they're going to be going somewhere where there are some trees. See the apples? Just like the apples I had? Yeah, I think this story is going to involve apples too. And I can tell all of these things, not by reading the words, but just by using the pictures, the illustrations. The story I'm going to read you today is titled Picking Apples. And it's written by Margaret McNamara, and it's illustrated by Mike Gordon. 3 words that you're going to see in this book that I was just going to make sure 3 vocabulary words, make sure you know them, is boring. And we know that sometimes if something's not exciting, it could be boring. And pointy, the word pointy, that's a describing word that describes when something's kind of sharp, like pencil. See the pencil? This pencil is pointy. And dozen. Dozen. Dozen is when you have 12 of a group of objects. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a dozen. All right, let's go on this field trip. Look at the setting here. I see mountains and a road. Oh, and they went over a bridge, and look at that school bus. I bet the kids are happy to be going on a field trip. Mrs. Connor's class went on a field trip. Do you like field trips? I know I do. Time for some apple picking, Miss Connor said. And here are the kids getting off the bus. I see a basket. She's got her clipboard. I bet she's checking the kids when they get out to make sure she's having them. And now we know where they're going. They're going to the apple orchard. And that's the field trip they're taking. And down here we see this little boy and some more of the students. I will not pick apples, said Michael. See him right here? Eugene climbed up a pointy ladder. There's our word pointy. So there she's going up that pointy ladder. Or he pulled down 12 red apples. 1 dozen, he said. Give you a second to look and enjoy the illustrations, because good readers always use the pictures. That's really important, to just enjoy the illustrations. Ayana and Hannah picked apples off the ground. You're just picking them up down here and put them in the basket. They found 10 green apples. My back hurts, said Hannah. Why do you think her back hurts? Look at her holding her back. Probably from bending over so much, maybe, and picking them up and putting them in the basket. Eugene and Becky shook a tree. Can you pretend to shake a tree? And look what happens when they shake the tree. Four red and green apples fall down. That was easy, said Eugene. Now, boys and girls, I just want you to look at this word for a minute. And I want to show you, sometimes with names, especially names, you may get tripped up a little bit on the pronunciation. That's how you pronounce it and how you figure out what the word is. This is what I use to try to figure this word out. You see the E and the I? I remembered that when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. So that's why I said E, because usually when two vowels go walking, that first one is the false, and it'll say its long vowel sound. So that's why I said Eugene. Could be wrong, but that's okay. It's not going to interfere with us understanding the story. Nick and Emma jumped up and picked 7 speckled apples each. 7. See them speckled with little different colors on them? Hard work, said Nick. Oh, one's about to hit him on the head. And there's Michael. He still doesn't look happy, does he? I think he still thinks it's boring, but the other kids are having a really good time. Katie sat on the ground and waited till apples fell into her lap. She just sat there, and the apples would just fall out of the tree. She got 2 golden apples that way. No sweat, said Katie. Look at all the kids. This little student is hanging out of the tree Look at him. He's eating his. Ah, I see a worm in that apple. How would you pick apples if you were there? I would probably be that one in the tree. The apples were piling up. Look, all these apples. Michael added 0 apples to the pile. 0. That means he didn't get any apples at all. Did you know apples have names? Asked Miss Connor. She's holding up that green apple. That is an Ida red. Ida red, said Miss Connor. Yum, said Egan. He's eating them up. This one is a honey crisp, and this one is a russet. And that one is a crispin, said Miss Connor. Right here is a crispin. He still doesn't look very impressed, does he? Well, let's see what happens. Crisp, said Ayana. She's eating that crispin. Boring, said Michael. Oh, and it almost looks like he's yawning. And this one is for you, Michael, said Miss Connor. See it? What? Said Michael. It is a Granny Smith, said Mrs. Connor. He looks a little surprised, doesn't he? Smith, said Michael. That is my name. My name is Michael Smith. Now will you pick some apples? Asked Miss Connor. I picked this one, said Michael. The apple named for me. Wow, that was a very good book, wasn't it, kids? I really enjoyed it. Picking apples. I liked it a lot because I really like field trips too, and I would like to go. I think there's an apple orchard up in the north part of Georgia, maybe in LJ. I'd love to go pick some apples. So now let's go back. Let's just revisit what we're going to be doing today, what we're going to be learning. I can use a graphic organizer. Can you say that with me? Let's read it together. I can use a graphic organizer to help me retell a story. So we're just going to do this 5-finger retell, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to get my paper, get my things together, and you can pause this video and go get you some paper too, and we can do this together. See you in just a minute. All right, did you go get your paper? I have mine. First thing we need to do is draw us a hand. Put your hand on your paper. Don't use the hand that you write with because you're going to need it. So now I'm just going to trace with a pencil around, and around my pinky finger. Boop. I have my fingers. Do you have yours? Now that I have them on the paper, I'm just going to go around it, make it a little brighter. I have my hand, my 5-finger retelling glove. Boys and girls, you can always do this after you listen to a story or you read a story. Just trace your hand. That's really going to help you recall everything about the story. So, let me think. What was that thumb? What was the thumb supposed to help us remember? Oh, yeah, the characters. I'm going to write the word characters, but you don't have to. You just remember that this is where we're going to recall the characters that are in the story. Characters. Do you remember who was in the story? I know the teacher and her students. We're going to turn and we're going to put Miss, and you write this with me. Miss Connor. Miss Connor is a character in the story. And I may just do a little picture of her, and you can do it too. She's got her hair in a ponytail, just like I wear a lot of times. And now we know that there were lots of kids. There are lots of kids in this story. So instead of writing everyone's name, which is correct, and we could, but we're just going to include everyone and write the class. Okay, so let's write it was Miss Connor, the class, or her students, but the main character who the story is mostly about was this little boy right here. Do you remember his name? Were you thinking Michael? That's what I was thinking too. So right on the side, we're going to do a comma, and we're going to put Michael, M, capital M, because that's his name. I-C-H-A-E-L. So we have Michael. You can draw his face too beside it if you'd like to. All right, and now this finger. Do you remember what this finger was for? Let's go back and look. Characters, we got the characters, check. This finger is to help us remember the setting. And I told my kids yesterday, I made up a little thing. I said, the setting is whether you're driving in your car, the setting is where you are. So just remember, the setting is just where are the characters. So up at the top, I'm going to write, and you can write this with me, or you can just fill it in with me, either one. S-E-T-T-I-N-G. And the setting takes place at an apple orchard, doesn't it? The whole story took place here at the apple orchard. I run out of room, so I'm going to write it here clearer for you. There. All right. And this finger, do you remember what that finger is for? Yep, the problem. What was the problem in this story? Do you remember? Somebody thought that it was boring. Remember, Michael wasn't having a good time. He didn't want to pick any apples. That was the problem. He wasn't having any fun. So now what happened right here on this finger, the very fourth finger, we're going to put the events. Now, the events in the story help you remember what happens in the beginning, middle, and end. So in the beginning, he wasn't happy. Was not happy. Now just put a sad face. And in the middle, what happened during the middle? The kids were having a good time, weren't they? So I'm going to draw an arrow down here because I ran out of room. The kids were having a great time picking apples and eating them and climbing trees. But then at the end, was Michael happy? Yes. Yes. At the end, Michael was happy. Michael was happy. Now this light bulb right here, boop, 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 boop. This right here, this finger, doesn't really look like a light bulb, does it? But it doesn't matter. You know what it is. This is where we're going to put how the problem was solved. Michael thought it was boring, but then Miss Connor said, "Oh, Michael, this is a special apple just for you. It is a Granny Smith apple." And Michael's last name was what? Yes, Smith. So I'm going to put right here an apple, and I'm going to put Michael got a special apple. And that made him happy, and it solved the problem. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed making this story map with me. Don't forget, you can use this anytime. If you can't remember the characters or the setting or the problem or the events or the solution, how they solved that problem, just trace your hand like we did. Now I'm going to go off and enjoy coloring mine because I love to color. Hey, and if you would like to, you can share your finished work with your teacher on JoJo. Take a picture of it. She'll love it. Bye, first graders. See you next time.